German armored forces were less than 400 kilometers from Moscow when Hitler ordered one of their strongest spearheads to turn away. The detour would destroy an entire Soviet front around Kiev and produce one of the largest encirclements of the war. But when the Panzers finally faced Moscow again, the calendar had become another enemy. Kiev would be a triumph measured not only by what Germany gained, but by the time it spent. By late August 1941, Army Group Center had fought through Minsk and Smolensk. Its vehicles were worn, its infantry depleted, and its supplies stretched back hundreds of kilometers. Moscow lay ahead. To the south, however, the Soviet Southwestern Front still occupied a vast salient around Kiev, threatening the German flank. Hitler saw an army that could be annihilated and the resources of Ukraine beyond it. Stalin saw territory that could not be surrendered. The German High Command wanted to continue toward Moscow. Hitler refused. On August 21st, he ordered Heinz Guderian's 2nd Panzer Group south. 4 days later, Guderian's tanks began cutting through weakened Soviet formations toward the rear of Kiev. Soviet counterattacks struck at his extended flank, but poor coordination and limited reserves failed to stop the advance. While Guderian drove south, Ewald von Kleist's 1st Panzer Group prepared the other half of the operation. German forces held a bridgehead across the Dnieper near Kremenchuk. If Kleist could break north while Guderian continued south, the two armored forces would close behind Kiev. The Southwestern Front would then have only one chance: withdrawal before the roads disappeared. That required an early decision. Front Commander Mikhail Kirponos understood that his armies occupied a salient hundreds of kilometers deep, with their supply lines and escape routes exposed. On September 11th, Senior Theater Commander Semyon Budyonny warned Stalin that withdrawal was essential. Stalin refused. Kiev was a political symbol. Its defenses appeared formidable, and surrendering the Dnieper seemed to open Ukraine to invasion. But holding the city did not protect the roads behind it. Budyonny was removed from command. The Soviet armies around Kiev remained where the Germans needed them. On September 12th, Kleist's armor burst north from the Kremenchuk bridgehead. Now distance itself favored the attackers. Soviet troops near Kiev had farther to travel to safety than the German spearheads had to travel toward each other. Communications began to fail. Orders arrived late or contradicted one another. Some Soviet formations turned east, others continued defending westward, and still others attacked the closing ring. On September 16th, near Lokvitsia, the leading elements of Guderian and Kleist met. The last major road out was cut. Most of 5 Soviet armies, together with headquarters, artillery, hospitals, and supply columns, were trapped inside an enormous pocket. The ring had closed, but the battle was not finished. German infantry still had to march in, secure the perimeter, and divide the encircled forces into smaller groups. Soviet troops fought for bridges, roads, and temporary gaps. Some broke through local positions, but no coordinated escape remained possible. Permission to abandon Kiev finally came on September 17th, when withdrawal had already become a series of scattered breakouts. German forces entered the city on September 19th. Kirponos was killed the following day while attempting to lead part of his command east. Organized resistance within the pocket continued until September 26th. The scale of the defeat was immense, although the totals remain disputed. German communiques claimed roughly 665,000 prisoners. Soviet archival calculations record about 616,000 irrecoverable losses during the wider Kiev defensive operation, a category that included those killed, missing, and captured, so the two figures cannot be compared directly. Whatever the precise prisoner total, 4 Soviet armies were effectively destroyed and another badly shattered. The Southwestern Front had to be rebuilt. Only fragments escaped. For many of those taken prisoner, surrender brought no safety. Large numbers later died from starvation, exposure, disease, and deliberate neglect in German captivity. The military disaster was followed by occupation and mass murder. 10 days after German forces entered Kiev, SS and German police units and their auxiliaries murdered 33,771 Jews at Babyn Yar on September 29th and 30th. The fall of the city therefore carried consequences far beyond the destruction of armies. The German advance had not only changed the front line, it had exposed the population of Kiev to a system of occupation built on repression, exploitation, and racial annihilation. Operationally, the battle delivered what Hitler had demanded. Army Group Center's southern flank was safer. A Soviet force capable of threatening German operations had been removed, and the road opened deeper into Ukraine toward Kharkov, the Donbass, and Crimea. The victory also weakened Soviet forces south of the Moscow axis, yet it consumed fuel, machines, and weeks. Hitler issued the directive for a renewed offensive toward Moscow on September 6th, before the Kiev pocket had even closed. Guderian's formations still had to complete the encirclement, refit, and turn north again. Operation Typhoon began on September 30th on its southern wing, and on October 2nd across the main front. It immediately produced new encirclements at Vyazma and Bryansk. Kiev had not robbed the Wehrmacht of its ability to maneuver, but the army approaching Moscow was no longer the force that had crossed the Soviet frontier in June. Trucks were failing. Tanks required repair. Railway conversion lagged behind the advance, while fuel and ammunition traveled across immense distances. By mid-October, autumn rain turned roads into mud. Soviet armies, repeatedly destroyed on paper, continued to reappear. Winter would expose weaknesses already created by distance, attrition, and Germany's underestimation of Soviet reserves. So was Kiev Hitler's greatest victory, or his fatal delay. It was unquestionably a colossal tactical and operational success, made possible in part by Soviet command paralysis and Stalin's refusal to withdraw while escape remained possible. It also secured genuine strategic advantages. But calling Kiev the single delay that saved Moscow reduces a complex campaign to a convenient verdict. An earlier attack on the capital might have gained better weather, but it would have advanced with an exposed southern flank and the same deep logistical weaknesses. Kiev strengthened Germany's immediate position while revealing Barbarossa's deeper failure. The Wehrmacht could destroy Soviet armies on an astonishing scale, but it could not turn destruction into Soviet collapse before time, distance, and resistance exhausted the invasion.